In the 1960s and 1970s, society was nowhere near as open as it is today. Being gay wasn't just taboo. It could completely destroy a star's career. Many actors had to live double lives. On screen, they were heartthrobs, the ideal men. But behind the scenes, they were people yearning to live authentically, yearning to love, but always in fear. Gene Kelly, the star of Singin' in the Rain, charismatic, strong, married multiple times to women, but backstage, rumors of his gay affairs never stopped. He maintained the image of the perfect man until the day he died. Alec McCowan, a British stage talent. He lived quietly, never mentioning his sexuality. The theater world knew, but the public didn't. McCowan chose silence because he understood. One confession could bury an entire career. Ben Piazza, audiences remember him from The Blues Brothers. Few knew he had a long-term romance with Wayne Tripp, but that was their secret. Piazza passed away from AIDS, leaving behind a career that wasn't very illustrious but full of hidden depths. And Charles Nelson Riley, a colorful character on television. He lived openly with friends, but stayed silent before audiences. Only in his later years did he take the stage alone and say, "Yes, I'm gay." It was a belated act of courage, but deeply moving. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just the first faces in a list of 30 stars who had to live in Hollywood's shadows. Some chose silence until the end. Others came out late, as a release for themselves. Next is Dennis Price, the star of Kind Hearts and Coronets. He once had a promising career, but his personal life was a chain of crises. Afraid to reveal his true sexuality, Price drowned in alcohol and debt. He died at 58, leaving much regret for a talent stifled by prejudice. Graham Chapman, founding member of Monty Python. He stood out from many colleagues because Chapman chose to come out as gay in the 1970s. That decision at the time was like a bomb exploding in the entertainment world. Chapman lived with his partner David Sherlock for decades. He passed from cancer, but left a legacy not just of laughter, but of courage ahead of its time. Harris Glenn Milstead, or Divine, the legendary drag icon, on screen. He transformed into rebellious, bold, shocking characters. But in real life, Divine lived discreetly, embracing his own loneliness. Still, his influence endures like a guiding light for drag culture and the LGBT community. John Dahl, the actor from Rope and Gun Crazy. He had gay relationships, but only among close friends. The public never heard a word of admission. Dahl died at just 50, taking his secrets to the grave. And John Inman, forever linked to the character Mr. Humphreys in the British sitcom Are You Being Served? His role was once seen as stereotypical, but to the community, it was a rare spark of visibility. Later, Inman came out and lived openly with Ron Lynch, and the two entered an official partnership before his death. Jonathan Frid, the name tied to the vampire Barnabas Collins in Dark Shadows. He was beloved by millions of fans, but his private life was kept absolutely secret. Frid had relationships with men but never admitted it publicly. Even after his death, the truth slowly emerged, a clear testament to the harsh pressures of the era. Maurice Evans, the Shakespeare master and star of Planet of the Apes. In theater circles, everyone knew Evans was gay, but the public was completely in the dark. He lived his whole life in discretion, because one admission could destroy the reputation he'd built over years. Michael Jeter, a rare talent, Emmy winner, memorable for roles in Evening Shade and The Green Mile. He was one of the few who came out openly when society had grown a bit less harsh. Jeter bravely shared his battle with HIV, becoming an inspiration to the community. Though he died young, he left the image of an artist who was both talented and authentic. Richard Deacon, the kindly father in the sitcom The Dick Van Dyke Show. On screen, he was a family icon, but off screen, he lived alone, unmarried, unacknowledged. Friends knew, Hollywood knew, but audiences didn't. He took that secret with him to the end. And Sir Michael Redgrave, a legend of British stage and screen, and father to a famous acting family, Vanessa, Corin, and Lynn Redgrave. While maintaining a traditional marriage, Redgrave had many gay affairs. This truth only came out in memoirs and biographies after his death. A bisexual man, bound by the era's rigid norms. Tommy Kirk, the name linked to the childhoods of millions through Disney classics like Old Yeller and The Shaggy Dog. Kirk was once a shining star at the studio, but when news of his being gay leaked, Disney immediately ended his contract. His soaring career plummeted into the abyss just because of a personal truth. Kirk left Hollywood, lived quietly, and only near the end spoke of the injustices he endured. Jim Neighbors, the lovable Gomer Pyle from The Andy Griffith Show. For decades, Neighbors stayed silent amid endless rumors. At one point, people even spread the false story that he secretly married Rock Hudson. Only after stepping away from the spotlight did Neighbors come out and marry Stan Cadwallader, his partner of many decades. A quiet, enduring love, finally acknowledged. Tab Hunter, the 1950s heartthrob icon. With his handsome face and radiant smile, Hunter was every girl's dream prince, but it was all a facade built by the studio. In reality, Hunter had a secret romance with Anthony Perkins, the actor from Psycho. To protect their careers, they had to hide their love, living as strangers in public. Only in old age did Hunter dare recount the truth in his memoir, seeing it as a final liberation. Anthony Perkins, the legendary Norman Bates of Psycho. He married Barry Berenson and had 2 sons, but always lived in torment. Perkins never came out about his gay relationships while alive. He died from AIDS complications in 1992, and only after his death did the public learn the truth. A great talent, but a soul chained by prejudice. And Robert Reed, the ideal father Mike Brady in The Brady Bunch. On screen, he was the perfect American family man, but off screen, Reed carried an unspeakable secret. Even with close friends, he hid part of the truth. Only when he died from AIDS did the story come out. Reed's career and image remained brilliant, but the price was a life unlived. Richard Chamberlain, the screen prince for millions of female fans. He shone in Dr. Kildare and the Thornbirds, becoming the romantic ideal women dreamed of. But behind it, Chamberlain lived a bound life. He loved men, but hid it for decades, fearing one admission would shatter everything. Only in 2003, in his memoir, Shattered Love, did Chamberlain come out. He admitted regretting not living authentically sooner. But the era left him no choice. George Takei, the familiar face from Star Trek, as Sulu, as a Japanese American. Takei faced double discrimination for his skin color and his sexuality. He chose silence for decades, fearing coming out as gay would kill his career. It wasn't until 2005, when he was secure and society less harsh, that Takei came out, then married Brad Altman. From there, he became a fierce LGBT rights activist, making up for years of forced silence. Sherman Hemsley, remembered by audiences as George Jefferson, the vibrant and feisty character. But in real life, Hemsley was extremely private. He never married, never came out. Only after his death did the truth slowly emerge. He had a long-term gay relationship, a man who blazed on screen but was solitary and quiet in reality. Victor Buono, famous for villain roles, especially in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. He never came out about his sexuality, deftly dodging with humorous lines, "I haven't found the right woman yet." But behind the wit was a hidden truth. He lived quietly, leaving sharp performances but never truly living his love. Sal Mineo, the young star who exploded in Rebel Without a Cause, alongside James Dean. Mineo's career once blazed bright, but quickly faded as gay rumors spread. Though he had relationships with men, Mineo never came out. While trying to revive his career, he was mysteriously murdered in 1906, a shocking death, and a talent buried by both prejudice and tragedy. Paul Winfield, the black actor Oscar-nominated for Sounder, and known to later generations from The Terminator throughout his life. Winfield hid his over 30-year romance with Charles Gillen Jr. Only when he died in 2004 did the public learn of that enduring love. In his career, Winfield endured double discrimination for his race and his sexuality, but he maintained a calm, professional demeanor, leaving immortal roles. Dirk Benedict, wait, no, it's Dak Rambo, the TV star from Dallas and Another World. Rambo hid his true sexuality until his HIV diagnosis in 1991. That shock led him to come out as gay and become a voice for HIV/AIDS awareness. But tragedy spared no one. Rambo died just 3 years later, leaving sorrow for a handsome and brave leading man, Howard E. Rollins Jr. Standout in the Heat of the Night and A Soldier's Story, Rollins struggled to conceal himself, falling into drugs and legal troubles. He never came out, but many believe his inner turmoil contributed to his career's decline. Rollins died in 1996 from lymphoma at 46, a talent gone too young. Leslie Jordan. Unlike many colleagues, Jordan later dared to live openly and was beloved for his witty, graceful comedy in Will and Grace. He became an LGBT icon, bringing laughter to audiences and proving that sometimes happiness comes late, but still in time to shine. John Barrowman, a familiar name to Doctor Who and Torchwood fans. In his early career, he hid, fearing one coming out would ruin his chances. But as Hollywood changed, Barrowman decided to come out, living happily with his husband Scott Gill. Not only that, he became an activist, inspiring the next generation. Jay Davidson, who shocked with his role in The Crying Game. Despite an Oscar nomination, Davidson chose to leave Hollywood, not wanting his private life scrutinized. Davidson lived reclusively, keeping his secrets, and became a prime example of fame's harshness for those who dare to differ. Hollywood, birthplace of immortal legends, but also a gilded cage imprisoning countless souls. Gay stars were forced to choose between two paths: live authentically and risk their careers, or keep secrets and lose themselves. The dazzling light of fame wasn't enough to chase away the shadows of loneliness. Gene Kelly, Richard Chamberlain, Robert Reed, they were worshipped by audiences as perfect ideals, but in their hearts was an unfillable void. What hurts us most is love. So many long-term romances like Graham Chapman with David Sherlock, Paul Winfield with Charles Gillen Jr., or Jim Nabors with Stan Cadwallader, had to live in shadows for decades. It wasn't just personal sacrifice, but proof of love's power. When battling an entire harsh society, and then AIDS arrived like a death sentence, claiming star after star, from Anthony Perkins and Robert Reed to Dak Rambo. Those deaths left not just grief, but a wake-up call to the world about injustice and the deadly silence of prejudice. Looking back, one thing is clear: those stars forced to hide paved the way for change. They might have stayed silent, might not have come out, but their existence and sacrifices gave the next generation, from George Takei and Leslie Jordan to John Barrowman, the chance to live truly and stand tall. Today, Hollywood is different. The public is different, but we can't forget that. To reach this openness, people paid with their careers, reputations, even their lives. Each one left an indelible mark. Gene Kelly, Anthony Perkins, Tab Hunter, Richard Chamberlain, George Takei, all different in talent and paths, but alike in one way: they were once forced to live in silence. Some took their secrets to the grave, some only came out in their twilight years, and some bravely spoke up, accepting the trade-off of their careers to protect love and self. Whatever the choice, they all contributed to change. It was those pains and losses that made today's Hollywood more open. The young can come out confidently, love openly, because the previous generation sacrificed so much. Every story we've heard is a brick in the long road to equality. Looking back, I feel heartbroken but deeply grateful. Heartbroken because they paid such a high price just to live truly, but grateful because through their courage, whether outspoken or quietly endured, they opened the path for those who followed. Behind the fame, Hollywood isn't just light. It has dark corners where people must hide to survive. And these stars are proof that the brightest light sometimes comes from long suppressed truth. 30 secretly gay actors of the golden age of Hollywood isn't just a list. It's an epic of pain, courage, and enduring love. When we speak of them, we remember not just immortal roles, but the real people behind, hearts that throbbed, sacrificed, and helped change an era. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you cherish the stories we've shared, leave a comment, a remembrance, as a way to keep them alive in memory. Don't forget to hit the like button to support the channel and subscribe to catch the next Hollywood Tales, where light and shadow always walk hand in hand. Your companionship is the motivation for us to keep bringing meaningful, authentic, and emotional content.